There is nothing wrong with your television set. Do not attempt to adjust the picture. We are controlling transmission. If we wish to make it louder, we will bring up the volume. If we wish to make it softer, we will tune it to a whisper. We will control the horizontal. We will control the vertical. We can roll the image, make it flutter. We can change the focus to a soft blur or sharpen it to crystal clarity. For the next hour, sit quietly and we will control all that you see and hear. We repeat, there is nothing wrong with your television set. You are about to participate in a great adventure.
Previously on Taking It to the Bridge.
We got to warn you, we get easily distracted, Kevin.
Very easily distracted.
Hey, that's what it's all about. This is a conversation, right? Like,
Right.
Amen.
Right.
Exactly.
You know, if you look at let's talk about what's happening in the country, right? We're experiencing something. You know, I'm a 50-plus-year-old man.
He 50 something.
He is.
You know, 50 something.
And you 50 something.
And I've never experienced a time period like what we're going through here in America, where we have an outright fascist movement who is like anti-democracy, right? But when you strip away all the action of what's happening, at the root of it is demographic change. So Gen Z scares the shit out of boomers because their values are so radically different from the values of boomers. And so in my mind, I see boomers as being kind of like not necessarily the enemy, but they're scared of the change that we're facing. One thing about Gen Z that you guys probably know already by having Gen Z kids is that they are determined to make the world a better place.
Right.
They are determined. Nothing will stop them. They have this determination to create a world that is much better than what we are right now. I was thinking about like that whole notion of sin. That's so fucking... I hate to say that. But
I can see we're going to have to get the beep button.
Like Gen Zers will be
to
like,
put the beep
what
button
are you
out on
talking
Kevin.
about? Oh, can I curse? I'm sorry.
No, you
No,
good.
you all
man.
right, bro. You
good.
all right, bro. Okay. We're going to edit. We're going to edit. Hold on. Who called who what?
I'll let Kevin
White
tell the
lady.
story.
The white lady with 2 black kids would not put on her mask to get served. And the black guy said, "Ma'am, I cannot serve you." And she kept saying, "Why?" And then she ended up saying, "You're a bitch ass." She didn't say,
Right.
she said, "You bitch ass."
While she was pushing one kid in a stroller, and the other one looked to be 3 or 4 years old.
Black kids.
And it
By racial,
came
I
out
guess.
today that the father, the black father, is livid and saying that she needs some help.
That's his woman. He need to get her.
The black father's mad at her.
Right.
I
But
could imagine.
I'm saying that to say you're right. Racism isn't going anywhere.
Not going anywhere.
I just wonder though how optimistic Gen Zers are. I mean, it's gonna be a tough
Yeah,
road.
you know, can we talk a little bit about what Gen Z is going through?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah,
No other generation in our lifetime has faced the myriad of like monumental
Yes.
bad stuff,
Yes.
right? Like
yes.
pandemic, George Floyd, Trumpism. I mean, downturn economy. Like the real issue for Gen Z is jobs.
right.
Like so unlike millennials, Gen Z is way more pragmatic. They want to work. They want to get careers. They want jobs. And they don't have their future is bleak.
Right.
It's freaking bleak. And so here you got a pragmatic generation that's looking for a way up, and they have none. Very, very few of them do. So you best believe this is going to impact them long term,
Right.
right? When I came out of Morehouse, I had a fat job waiting for me in '89. I was making good money. I didn't have to consider working at Starbucks.
Right. Right.
For
So
$15 an hour.
So what are they holding on? What is their hope? I mean, what makes them hopeful about their futures?
I can share with you a little bit of the research that we've been doing.
Sure, please.
It's really astounding. I hate to say this, y'all, but we did a survey, and the survey said that 68% of Gen Z is experiencing mental duress.
68%.
We are facing 68%.
Wow.
So we're experiencing a generation that is mentally traumatized. And that's real. That's real.
Wow. That's actually a topic we're going to be tackling here in a couple of weeks, because that is a serious problem. I didn't realize Gen Zers were being hit that hard, though.
They're being hit exceptionally hard. So the good news is, once we get past this time period, it's going to be a lot of joy and a lot of things opening up and a lot of optimism out there. But right now we're going through, it's like if we were flying, we would be going through one of the most serious thunderstorms we could experience flying.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
So what can we do to help? Because when you give those statistics, right, I'm sitting here and I'm literally floored by that. I know that it's high, right? Just experiencing it and seeing it. But to hear a number like 68%, I think about my kids. I think about making sure I'm staying plugged in with them. And my daughters and I talk very frequently about how things are going and how they're adjusting. And, the fact that my youngest daughter didn't have a graduation ceremony and all those things that she's feeling like she missed out on. So how do we help them?
That's all traumatized, right?
Yeah.
It's not your life is not normal.
Right.
Yeah. How do we help them?
Yeah. You know what? That's a great question, Ken. I think that, and they're, the thing about Gen Z is they help themselves. They look at each other. You know what I mean? Like we were talking about how, all of a sudden you're seeing this phrase pop up a lot about mutual aid.
Yeah.
Them looking to each other because the government has failed them. The government has failed them. These institutions are failing them. So they're just looking to each other to help. So for us as the older generation, the thing that we can do is, politically open up the vote for things that are beneficial to them, start thinking about their legacy. So that's the first, stop thinking about yourself and your selfishness.
Right.
That's the thing I despise about boomers. They got everything. They got Social Security. They got all the government help. They got everything. And now they're trying to close the door on the next generations. Don't be that. Think about the values of the younger generation and do things that will help them in terms of voting for them, in terms of supporting companies that are friendly to them, all of that. You can do that. You know what I mean? But we've got to start thinking beyond ourselves and start thinking more about our children and their children, because I don't have kids myself, but I worry about my nephews. What kind of country are they going to inherit when they graduate college? Is it going to be nothing but oppression for them because they're Black? Right. I worry about that. So we've got to just be more vocal and be allies to our Gen Zers. Because, truth be told, we hear a lot of hatred towards them from our peers and older. You know what I mean? Let's keep it real. Right. A lot of them are not, we're being, we hate on them to a certain degree. Oh, they don't want to work. Right. They're lazy. No, they're not lazy.
No.
They're not lazy.
We had Elijah on last week, and one of the first things he said about his challenges is finding out what's going on in the job market.
Right.
He interviewed for a job and never heard back. And so, to me, that's not lazy.
Yeah, because pre-pandemic, the economy was doing great. Jobs were plenty. And then this hit, and I can imagine for a Gen Zer, now they're isolated. Yeah. They're not working.
Right.
So you're right.
Tied to the screen.
Right. Right.
tied to the screen. Like,
That-
like I predict that there's going to be an explosion of offline things once we get past this period. They tired of being online.
Right. Which is amazing.
I am.
We all
Yeah.
are.
yeah, I'm ready to get
We
out.
all are. We are. This is craziness. So I just I just have a lot of faith in the next generation, but I'm scared about these hateful older people who are just filled with this sense of evil, and like just wanted to destroy.
Wow.
That sensibility is real. You look at Fox News, it is all culture value driven and rooted in white supremacy and xenophobia.
Yeah, I just read today where the Dominion Voting Systems Company is suing them
Yeah.
for
As they should.
$1.6 billion.
And their defense is any reasonable person would have known we were just playing.
Yeah, we just playing.
We were just messing with y'all.
My bad. We didn't really mean that. That you
Right.
guys were fixing the
Right.
election when we went on CNN
Which is
and
why these
Fox
folks
and
stormed the Capitol, right? They were just
Right.
playing.
They were just playing.
They were just playing. There's a group of people. There's a faction of people in this country that, while they may say that right now they're not racist or they don't have racial inclinations, or what's the famous saying? I know some black people, right? I got black friends. While they don't want to acknowledge the fact that the economic and power structure that this country has been entrenched in for hundreds of years is crumbling, and they don't want to give it up. They won't acknowledge that they benefited from anything, but they don't want to give it up.
Right.
They
And that-
give it up.
Yeah, and that's the thing that to me is scary, because I've seen changes
Yeah.
in even associates.
And I'm not sure I'm not sure we're going to survive it, Ken. I hate to say that. I'm not one of those people that's convinced that America is going to survive.
Well, I've always had this opinion, and I've said this to someone just recently, that if you look at our country historically, no impactful economic or social change has ever come in this country without some type of violent conflict. You look at the Civil War, you look at the Spanish-American War, you look at all of the things that historically we're taught in school as these changing and momentous parts of our history that put us on this new, better direction. None of them have come without some type of violent conflict. Now, I'm not preaching that. I'm not telling anyone to go out there and get, assault rifles or anything like that.
Yeah.
By no means.
Right.
It's just
Right.
historically, we see it. We're taught it. We go into any of our history books and we see, and anyone, with a decent level of intellect says, okay, violence, change, violence, change, violence, change. And unfortunately, that's where I see some things heading, whether we like it or not.
Right.
Yeah, I think we're entering a cycle of violence that's not going to let up. The thing that's different now compared to previous struggles is the number of non-whites.
Right.
That's the thing that's never happened before.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
The number of
non-whites.
non-whites. How so? Are they
Like
for
when
it?
you look at like when you look at like the first Reconstruction period,
Mhm.
like African Americans were what, maybe 10% of the total population. There was no other.
Right.
There
Gotcha.
wasn't
I
really
got
any
you.
Hispanic or Asian. But now the fastest growing demographic group is Asian American. So guess what? Look at what's happening these last couple of weeks.
Now they're under attack.
Now they're under attack. So we're being like we're being forced to be a BIPOC coalition, Black, Indigenous, people of color. We're being forced to gather and to work together, and that's what beat Trump, was that BIPOC. Right. Whites rallied together and voted for Trump, 74 million.
Right.
But then due to that BIPOC coalition, it defeated him.
Right.
And that's why we're going through these draconian voter suppression laws.
Right.
They're going to up the ante. They're going to continue to up the ante to the point where it's going to be just outright violence.
Right.
When you can't get your way through legal means, what do? History tells us.
Yeah.
And that's where we are. January 6th was just the beginning.
But which brings me back with Gen Z. I'm still kind of stuck on where do they see the change coming? I mean, is it just kind of the Fred Hampton model where you focus on your communities and the people and not so much the politics? I mean, what would there, if you had to prioritize for Gen Z, 1, 2, 3, this is our plan for change, what would that 1, 2, 3 be?
Well, first and foremost, right now they have to stay attuned to the political system. They have to work within the system that we currently have,
Right,
in order to affect those things that they need, right? Like, so we've got to do a good job of keeping them engaged in the political system. So that's one. Two, though, is that you're going to see new things being created from Gen Z in terms of support systems. Like, we're kind of like, I see the trend being like letting the American system of capitalism run itself, but then secondarily, you have their own kind of like world that they're creating. If you think about it, think about what's going on with food, plant-based, gardening. They're going back to the basics.
Right.
Food, shelter, housing. They're creating these things themselves. You know what I mean? Like, where the government and the institutions are failing, they're creating new systems. So where they won't even need the traditional government and all that, like that whole idea of mutual aid, that's a big deal to me.
Right.
Because it's reflective of their sensibility. So they've seen, like, seriously, if you're 18, 19 years old, what have you seen? Nothing but failure.
Right.
Seriously. I mean, like, you see nothing but failure. Like the pandemic response, failure. Corporations being greedy, taking all the profits and jerking the workers. That's what you've seen if you're 18.
Right.
So that then, with that in mind, you're going to be like, I'm going to create my own thing. I'm going to have my own joy in my own way. So it's kind of like there's going to be this bifurcation. The third thing is that this is the thing that keeps me up at night. Black and brown people are pretty much, the deal is sealed for them to be at the bottom. Upward mobility is gone.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
That's scary.
That's scary. And look at the pandemic and the impact of the pandemic on us.
Right.
I don't know if y'all followed what was happening in LA, but that was like a horror movie. And it was affecting Hispanics the most.
Right.
Right. They were losing people, relatives, families, whole families.
Yeah.
Having to funeralize whole families.
Wow.
Like, not only are they experiencing the physical aspect but then you got the financial aspect.
Yeah.
And then when you layer on what jobs have dissipated, what jobs have gone away, hospitality.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Lodging.
Right.
That's where these folks worked. It's gone.
Wow. But say, Kevin, man.
So
I'm sorry. Go ahead, bro.
No.
We just want to thank you, man. This was really, really some good stuff. We're going to definitely be calling you back.
This is great for me. I mean, just to sit here and listen to you, Kev, like I said before, we've never really had that intertwined, deep connection. But just to sit and listen to you, hear your thoughts, I appreciate it because it's giving me some viewpoints that I need to be focused on. I need to be paying attention to that I haven't been.
Right.
Not wanting to, but just out of sheer ignorance, not knowing a number like 68%.
Right.
That is blowing my mind.
Right.
68%.
Yep.
And what are we doing to help this next generation? What are we doing to set them up for success? Because if we start focusing and being selfish, like you were saying, if that's all we're focused on, they're already starting behind the 8 ball. We're just, it's like a scene out of, you remember, what was the movie where I think it was Chris Rock was playing, and they had a pool table there, and the guy was saying something about the earth being the pool table, and the black ball is the one ball that keeps getting, everyone's going after the black ball. What movie was that? You know what I'm talking about? You know what I'm talking about? I forget.
Martin Lawrence and Boomerang.
Boomerang. Yeah. See, I told you we were easily distracted. At least I am. But this says, we thank you so much for joining us and being part of what we're trying to do.
I'm honored that you guys invited me. But one thing I will say, Mike and Ken, just love on your kids, man. Don't be harsh about what they're going through. Love on them. And the thing too that encourages me about Gen Z is that they have dispelled the stigma around mental health.
Mm-hmm.
Gen Z of color are no longer stigmatized about needing mental health help.
Right.
So I think that's encouraging. I think we're going to come out of this thing better, and there's going to be new paradigms. No longer is it cliche, taboo to ask for help. When you're struggling mentally. I think that's a good thing, and I'm seeing all these kids developing all these new initiatives around mental health. So I just want to make sure that I'm not coming across as just negative.
No,
I think there is hope, but that hope comes from the generation themselves, not us.
Right.
Right.
One last question, Kev.
Right. Okay.
What have you picked up new during the pandemic? Any new hobbies? What have you picked up new during the pandemic? Any new hobbies? Any new skills?
Cooking. I learned I'm a pretty good cook. I never thought of that before.
Wow.
But it was out of necessity. Could no longer go out to the restaurants like I wanted to.
Right.
So I had to pick up cooking. And I find that cooking is therapeutic for me.
Right.
So that's something that I didn't expect to come out of the pandemic. But what about you? What about y'all?
This podcast.
Can I give you guys a compliment? You guys are great with this podcast. I've been on several others, but y'all really ask great questions and you keep it moving. And
thanks,
so
man.
for you to be novice, it come across like y'all don't know what you're doing. So keep it up.
We appreciate it.
We pretend very well.
Yeah, that's good. It's working for you.
And having a good guest helps.
Absolutely. Having a good guest.
But hey, man, thanks again, brother.
Right,
thank you again, brother. We appreciate you being on. Welcome back. Oh, wow. We just had a serious conversation with Kevin Walker.
He pretty much confirmed everything our kids told us.
Confirmed it. Yes.
That's what really was. I was kind of shocked, honestly.
Yeah. He confirmed a lot of things and just made me realize a lot of things. So that was a great segment.
We got to bring him back.
We got a great, So this is our debrief, where me and Mike just kind of cross-talk a little bit about what we just talked about, our guests, and we are honored to have a special guest in our studio audience here today, Mr. Derek Rogers.
What's up?
He acting all shy.
Yeah.
He just happened to drop in on us while we were doing the segment with Kevin and got to listen in. So figured since he was here, having some Gen Zers himself, why not be part of the crosstalk and the debrief? And he's got that voice.
I was gonna say, you got that radio.
You got that
voice.
radio voice, I'm
the Morgan Freeman.
I'm gonna try to sound like you.
Yeah. Y'all making me blush, and if people saw me, we
boy.
know how challenging that would be.
That would be something.
But hey, real quick.
Yeah.
I've known both of you guys for a long time. This is outstanding. Very, very, very proud of you guys and what you are doing and what you're trying to do. And so just that's real talk. Love you guys. We met through our wives. But just over the years, the friendship, the struggles, the challenges, this is awesome to see. Awesome to see.
Thank you.
Thank you, man.
Thank you.
Means a lot.
It really does. Because we all 50-something. You 50-something too, right?
I'm 50-something as
We
well.
all
We all 50-something.
We got a whole bunch of 50-somethings.
A lot of them.
A lot of them. We, between us all, we know just a little something.
That's why we need to try to get with these Gen Zers
Right.
and help them out.
Wow. So the thing that jumps out for me, and I know I'm being repetitive here,
Yeah.
when Kevin talked about 68% of the Gen Zers are dealing with some kind of emotional, distress right now because of the pandemic. And me being just an old jellyfish, soft teddy bear dad, I just immediately go to my children, man, am I doing enough to make sure they're okay?
Right. I mean, when you think about it, they're at a point in their lives where a lot of things that are important to them were taken away.
Yeah.
Through no fault of their own.
Yeah.
Imagine you're in college. Now you can't go to class. You can't hang out. You can't go to the parties. You can't do any of that.
Right.
You know, that's tough.
It's such a big part of college.
Right.
You know, we may not want to acknowledge this as parents, but a big part of college is the social.
It's huge.
You know, the social part of it all. And wow. Now, Derek, your children are getting ready to go into college.
No, they're both in college.
They're both in college now.
One is a junior, one's a freshman.
Junior and a freshman. Okay, so one is kind of on the way out, and
Preferably.
one they never get off the payroll.
Right.
Just so you know.
Right.
That's a fallacy. Right. They're never completely off the payroll. But just in terms of the differences between a young person going into college now and someone who's kind of on their way out, junior, senior, so forth, it's got to be frightening for a young person now entering.
Well, and not so certainly, I think they're experiencing a little bit of the same.
Right,
Now,
right.
for my son who's a freshman, it's definitely different because you're getting used to a number of things anyway,
Right.
going into college. And to immediately be thrown in a situation where you're virtual,
Right.
something that you're not used to.
Right.
He graduated high school during the pandemic. He was fortunate enough that they did have a physical graduation, if you will. But the transition from high school to college is challenging anyway. And now on top of this, you throw in, oh, by the way, you're basically going to have to teach yourself. And so my daughter, who's a junior, she's said that. She says, it's so frustrating because I'm having to teach myself.
Wow.
She's majoring in accounting.
Okay.
Wow.
You can't really teach accounting to yourself.
Right.
You know,
I would
and
think
it's,
not,
it's
yeah.
as many of different online resources that are out there, there's still some things you need to sit down in front of someone and walk through. So from that standpoint, they're experiencing the same thing. And it's tough and it's challenging. And one of the things we're expecting them to just deal with it.
Right.
And that one of the things I think that Kelvin said, and you know, when he talked about the 68%, for me, I immediately was like, oh man, I probably need to be a little bit more sensitive.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
Because, you know, you think about our parents and how you just did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and there wasn't no coddling.
Right.
It was like, you gonna do this. And so I think we've adopted some of that, and that's part of the challenge of
Right.
identifying or connecting with Gen Z. And so that, just like it stood out to you, Ken, it definitely stood out to me because it's like, oh, we need to be much more sensitive because they're going through something we've
Right.
never experienced.
Right. Right.
So
And just think between the three of us, we've got 5 Gen Z. Jamila, is she considered?
Jamila's she was born in 95.
So I'm not sure.
She's probably right before Gen Zers.
Okay.
So she's a millennial.
So according to the statistics, 1 or 2 of our kids is dealing with
Yeah.
some mental stress that we don't know about.
Yeah.
Which,
it's crazy.
man, wow. And then the next question is like, what do we do?
Yeah. That's the thing for me is I want there to be some type of call to action
Yeah.
with this, you know, just with our lives in general. I think we have to live a life of purpose.
Because we're not the only ones. Hopefully people listening
Yeah.
will be able to relate to this.
So what can we do? Like you said, Derek, it's like we lived in a generation like, well, just do it.
Don't cry.
You know, I remember when I went to swim, when I was learning how to swim, you know.
They just threw you in the pool.
I'll tell you a dad story again.
And went over and smoked a cigarette.
So my dad said, jump as close as you can to the side. So
Did you at least have on
if you don't come back up, at least you can crawl up the wall.
See.
Right, because my dad was in the military and he dove and he paratrooped and all that stuff, and he ate fish eyes and he ate poisonous. He'd tell you all those crazy stories, but he would say the water buoyancy is going to bring you back up anyway.
Right.
So jump as close as you can to the side, so that if you don't come back up, you could at least crawl up the wall.
Parenting.
Wow.
Right.
Wow.
Parenting.
That was our generation.
Yeah.
So basically, our kids have been thrown into the symbolic pool.
Pool of life.
Yeah.
Wow.
But
Wow.
the question is, have we given them floaties?
Oh my goodness. My head is getting ready to explode right now. Did you hear? We've thrown our kids into the pool of life.
Right.
Have we given them floaties?
That's a question we got to ask.
That's a tough question.
Have you given your children floaties, Derek?
That's a deep question.
That is deep.
That is deep. You know,
Mike,
I'm done.
I'm
See
going
you
to
guys
give you
later.
some oxygen, man. Come up for air, bro. Wow. No, but that's awesome.
you know, on the one hand, I think as every generation desires better and more
Yeah.
for their kids, I would say we've definitely probably all done a good job spoiling them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've given them things that we didn't experience until we were adults. So we've done that on the one hand.
Right.
And with that, we've expected them to achieve, because that's still where we are. We're capitalists.
Oh, yeah.
Most of us.
Oh,
in
yeah.
this
I just
generation.
found out.
Right. We're capitalists, right? So we expect
Mike told
them,
me.
but we've never really asked, what do you really want to do?
Right. Right.
So I would say I think we thought we gave them floaties, but given how unprecedented this time has been, and we're still trying to figure out how
Right.
to adjust, right? So only imagine them.
And they won't tell us something.
Right.
See, that's the thing. They're going to put on the good face.
Right.
Because that's how we taught them.
Mm-hmm.
Don't come in there crying.
Mm-hmm. You're right.
Look at all you got. Don't come in there crying.
Right.
I'll give you something to cry about.
Right.
Remember that one?
Man.
Give you something to cry. I'm already crying.
See?
Right.
But you're absolutely right. I mean, wow. We've done the best we known to do, I think. But now when we get this new data, like from Kevin, now we have to step back and say, okay, what do I need to change?
Yeah.
You know.
Right.
Yeah.
That's good.
And we put that question to our Gen Z reps last week, you know. And
I think they were being nice.
I think they were being very nice because we were their parents.
Right.
And I don't think they wanted to say anything negative, even though we told them our feelings weren't going to get hurt. But they did say, you know, hey, we could not have predicted this.
Right.
You guys could not have prepared us
Right.
for
Exactly.
this in terms of the pandemic. But so much more of what we're experiencing right now. Yeah, I personally think I could have done it a little bit better.
Right.
You know, I could have prepared my kids a little bit better. You talked about, Derek, you talked about giving this generation a little bit more than the previous generation gave us. I think that's our goal. We should,
Right.
you know, we should be having conversations with them and teaching them things that we possibly didn't learn, so that they're a little bit more prepared and they could take that and grow on it in the future.
Right. And we have to remember we were there.
Yeah.
Aged once.
Yeah.
We were.
And we did the same thing.
Yeah, we
Our
did.
parents told us stuff and we were like, yeah, whatever.
I was a good kid.
And now, yeah, of course.
I didn't
of
do
course,
anything
of course.
wrong.
He was perfect.
Perfect.
My mama, she listening to this. Mama, I was a good kid. I didn't do anything wrong. No, I was probably one of the more jacked up kids there was.
No, hey.
I grew up in the Bronx.
As well, like Mike, I grew up here in Dallas.
Oh, so
in the Oak Cliff side of
so
town.
you're familiar with the term high siding.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
What in the
Yeah.
world What in the world?
That's
did you
the thing, man.
Did you listen to that episode where we talked about high side?
I did. And in fact, I texted Mike right after that. I said, I'm with you. I know. That's
High
what
side.
we used. Yeah.
High side, man.
High side.
Stop high side, kid. What's up?
All right, okay. All right. I learned something new.
We're going to work that in every episode, at least once.
Right.
High side.
Get an unruly guest. Hey, man, stop high side.
High side, bro.
Come on.
Yeah. Come on.
But yeah,
But you know what would be cool? You know what I just thought about having Derek here? We ought to have an episode where we just have, and we can spread it out around the studio here.
we're socially distant.
We're socially distant.
We got
Derek is at
masks.
least
We got
6.5 feet.
thermometer.
We got
somewhere.
thermometer. Well, we don't have a thermometer out. We had it on the table last time.
Yeah.
But we can have maybe 4 or 5
A round table.
a round table in the square room. Yeah. Where we
you
just
go.
talk about what it is like.
The senior lounge.
Right. And we can
Step
call it
into the senior lounge
50 cents.
and get some 50 cents. SENSE.
SENS. Is it SE? I can't even spell.
SENSE.
SENSE.
Tagline courtesy of Hubbard Media Solutions.
Feeding all your media needs.
Oh,
Digital
you're
media.
meeting all your digital media needs. 50 cents. But no, I think that would be cool. And we're just sitting around chopping it up with 4 or 5 of us.
Right.
You know,
Right.
because we could have
That's a
2 or
great
3
idea.
day long conversation about what we're dealing with, what we're going through, what we're perceiving, where we are. The biggest question, are we where we thought we would be
At this age.
at this age?
Man, I'm going to say this.
Derek over here sound like Isaac Hayes.
I know.
So you know that
He
hit
about to
him.
break out. But this is going to sound messed up.
All right.
I think I've exceeded where I thought I would be.
That's a good
That's
thing.
not messed up.
That's not messed up at all.
It's getting my mind. It kind of is. Because
Well, number one, you married up.
I
I
did.
mean, we know that.
Right.
Kathy Hubbard.
So what more needs to be said?
I mean, yeah, you definitely married up.
There you go. That's right.
We all did.
We all
Enough
did.
I think
said.
we all did.
We absolutely all
We
did.
all did.
Absolutely.
But no, that's a good thing though, because
Yeah.
where you started from is relative, right? Because it's not worse or it's not better. It's just different, right? It's all relative. So I think that'll be a good segment for us to have. So anyway, I know we're running out of time here. We want to thank again Kevin Walker for joining us.
Yeah.
My good friend Derek for joining us. Thank you for your input. Man, I just love your voice.
Yeah.
Mike,
He definitely got to come
he
back.
got a radio voice, man.
He do,
Got a
man.
radio, and he got a radio face too.
He do.
I'm blessed.
What I want to do too, you want to follow Kevin on Twitter
Go ahead.
at KillerKW.
Killer KW.
At KillerKW. Follow him.
Follow him on Twitter.
He's a wealth of knowledge.
Wealth of knowledge. I know I'm going to plug into this wealth of knowledge. And if you don't mind, please like us on Facebook and YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Please do.
Leave some comments on YouTube. I know we've gotten a lot of comments via text message.
Yep.
And I'm like, man, can you leave those comments on YouTube? I love them. Don't get me
Right.
wrong. But, I hate to ask somebody to do something twice. So leave those comments on Facebook. We'll see them. And YouTube, we'll see them. And we'll respond to you as soon as we can. We love you. Thank you for listening. Until the next time, this is Mikey Ken, because we just a couple of 50-something men, because I'm 50-something.
Yeah, and I'm 50-something.
And Derek's here with us, and he 50-something. And between the three of us, we know
a little something.
a little something about
A little
something.
bit of something.
Peace.
Later.